Even though you put so much work and efforts in your game, but in 2018's draft, you were not selected by any NBA teams. So how's the mood right back then? Could you share with us?
The mood was, I'm ready to work. I'm ready and willing to make something happen. You know, understanding that one night, one draft night doesn't define who you are as a person or as a player, but instead, you know, how you respond to it will ultimately be what defines you. So I was just ready to embrace whatever opportunity presented itself, and I was fortunate enough to get an opportunity with the Heat, and the goal just became, okay, how do I maximize this?
I think the God see your efforts because in the 19 and 20 season, with Miami Heat, make it to your first final appearance. So how was the journey, no matter in the bubble or in the finals versus the Lakers?
Yeah, that was an incredible run. It was such an interesting season and just how everything went down, and the season got put on pause, and then all of a sudden we were in the bubble competing for a title. So it was a little bit of a whirlwind, but I learned so much from it, and I think that those lessons are not only basketball lessons, but life lessons as well that I'll take with me forever. So, you know, it's an experience that I think has definitely served me well throughout my career since. Honestly, to start that year, not a lot of people knew who I was, so I would find myself, you know, shooting a lot more open, and then as the year went on, I was guarded a lot closer, so shots became a little bit tougher.
I'm not sure if you know that when Lonzo Ball, the first year he get into the league, and Patrick Beverly is like acting like a dog. So do you have any welcome to the NBA moment?
I would say my first year in the NBA, I wasn't playing much that year because I was just a rookie, and we were playing the Pacers, and at the time Victor Oladipo was on the Pacers. He was an all-NBA player, and it's funny now because Vic and I are good friends and we're teammates for a while, but for about a 3-minute stretch, because we had foul trouble, I had to guard him, and he just scored like 8 straight points, and I quickly got subbed out, and he made a little comment to me as I was getting subbed out, basically saying that I'd have to do better if I wanted to stay on the floor. But it's funny because, you know, Vic and I now laugh about it, but you know, that was definitely a welcome to the NBA type moment.
I know you have your highlight in the 19 and 20 season, and let's fast forward into this year. Because of the injury, you play only 42 games, and even, you know, kind of out of the rotations. And on the JJ Redick's podcast, you mentioned about sometimes this slump will make you doubt yourself. So could you take us through the whole season slump and how you get rid of it?
Yeah, you know, this year definitely had some adversity that I hadn't dealt with before in terms of an injury. And there's challenges that come with it. I mean, in many ways, that's a part of professional sports. And as athletes, we got to figure out how to navigate those moments. I definitely learned a lot just kind of dealing with those low points and making them not as low, you know, trying to find ways to bounce back. And a big part of it is relying on the people around you, you know, your teammates, your coaches, your friends, the people in your corner to uplift you, because the reality is you can't always do it on your own. So the regular season definitely did not go the way that I had expected it to, but I was able to kind of maintain some perspective and be available and ready to go for the playoffs, which I'm thankful that I have people in my corner to allow me to do that.
Mentioned about playoff, you were fired in the Eastern Conference Finals, and your three-point shooting is over the 40%. And even with the gesture like this, you do this to all the Celtics fans.
Yeah, that was a fun moment. I grew up in Celtics country, if you will, being up in that area. So a lot of my friends that I grew up with are still Celtics fans. So that was a fun moment to be able to beat them in Game 7 on that floor for an opportunity to go to the finals. So I had to kind of just lean into the moment a little bit with a little bit of a gesture, but we had fun with it for sure. That was just a spur of the moment play. Bam and I, you know, have been playing together for a while now, so we have a really good core and balance that we can get to on the floor, and that was just another example of that. You know, a shot that was well guarded, just kind of had the opportunity to throw it off his back and get the ball back and shoot it again. So that was a fun one. I wish I had made the shot. I didn't make it. Otherwise, that would have been a memorable highlight for sure.
Did you say anything?
Did Bam?
Yeah.
No, he laughed after the game because I don't think he realized exactly what had happened, and then he saw after the fact. But I didn't make it, so it wouldn't have counted as an assist. But I told him, I was like, hey man, next time I do it and I make it, you'll get an assist for it, so don't worry about it.
Is it true that Miami Heat has the body fat restriction?
Yes, very true.
Really?
Yeah.
So how low you have to keep your body fat?
Basically under 7%, so they check us once every 2 weeks.
Oh, that's good.
But yeah, the baseline is 7%, but a lot of guys are even a lot lower than that.
You've been a teammate with Jimmy Butler like a couple of years and experienced a lot like finals, playoffs, and not making the playoffs. So tell us about how does it feel, and especially the playoff Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy's a great player, and he's a huge reason why we've had the success that we've had, in the 5 years that I've been there. And he's the type of guy that can just take over a game and propel you to victory. He's also very unselfish and encourages other players to get involved. So, as somebody who oftentimes is playing off of Jimmy, it's great to have somebody who's as unselfish and wants to get people involved. So I've learned a lot from him, and I'm hoping that moving forward we can not just get to the finals, but win a finals as well.
Are you and Jimmy good? Because I saw one of the post-game interview, he said you are the dumbest teammates he ever met.
I played with some pretty smart players before. I think Duncan's like the dumbest one out of all of them, but...
No, Jimmy just gives people a hard time all the time. That's like who he is. He likes messing around with people, so we are good. We're absolutely good.
This year, Miami Heat is really special because there's a bunch of undrafted players in the team. So what do you think when all the media or fans call you an army of undrafted players?
I think the intention means well, and they're trying to, shine light on an underdog story. But I think after a certain point, eventually, I think it's better to just be talked about as good players and not always with the caveat of being undrafted. So I think, as a group, we all earn the respect of everybody after the run that we made. So it's always good to get some notoriety and love for being undrafted, but I think we all just want to be referred to as good basketball players, not just good players for being undrafted.
Do you know why I think the Miami Heat is one of the perfect team you state? Because there's one guy who is undrafted player, but he is the spirit of this team. You know who he is?
Udonis?
Yeah. Tell us how important he is.
Yeah, UD is the heart and soul of our team. He's the heart and soul of the organization. He's been there his entire career and has won 3 championships and has really laid the groundwork for what it means to put on that jersey. So it's hard to believe that he's going to be retiring, but I just feel so grateful that I've been able to share a locker room with him.
During your career, who you want to thank the most? Like, for instance, John Biden, Mike Maker, or Eric Spoelstra, etc., or your family? Who you want to thank the most?
I would say my family, and that includes my entire inner circle. My family, my friends. I think those coaches have been huge for my career, but as I've moved from one place to the next, my family and friends have remained consistent. So I think in that sense, it's really the people in my close circle that have meant the most.